Hey everybody, this is SXE Blues, and I'm going to go ahead and retract what I originally was going to do, which was have everything on my channel in, private mode while I was going to be away. And, after some really good advice from my sister, in the frame of, if I was a famous movie director and I had to go on vacation, would I take my movies with me and not let anyone watch them again, until I came back? That really hit home, and that was really good advice. So I decided, screw it. I'm gonna go ahead and unprivate them all and leave them up. And if I get cut off from the internet for a little while, I know I'll be back at some point. So to hallmark that decision, I decided to upload this review for the Doctor Who Series 6 episode, The Rebel Flesh. Now this won't be a point-for-point review like my last few of them. This will probably be, maybe be a little bit shorter, because I didn't bother taking notes. I just watched it. I didn't expect to be doing this. So, just I'm going to kind of wing it, and there will be some spoilery materials, so, if you haven't seen the episode, go ahead and skip this and come back to it at a later point. But, jumping into my thoughts on the episode, I thought it was a pretty good episode. Some of the character arc themes were very interesting to me, and the idea that this kind of came unexpectedly because based on everything we've seen in trailers and things like that, there were some mixed ideas about what we were going to actually see. Was it going to be the Autons? Was it going to be living plastic? And in fact, and I was among the people thinking along those lines, but we proved to be, somewhat wrong in that. The episode opens with a pretty interesting setup in that we see just what we're dealing with. Basically, they're sort of like flesh copies of people and clones, kind of, and they're, these people are working with acid and doing something to pump it to the mainland from an island. And so, it's very interesting how after some playing around with each other, one of the, as they come to be known as gangers, short for doppelgangers, falls into acid, and then we see that, that character is actually alive and well in the form of yet another ganger. So it's people who, rather than safety suits, which they also do have safety suits, which, it's kind of defeats the purpose, I guess, if you're going to go to the extent that you're going to copy yourself so they can do the hard work and you're safe. Why bother with a suit, protective suit, unless you count the fact that I think some of the dialogue suggests that it costs a pretty penny to keep making copies of yourself. But in any case, the Doctor, Amy, and Rory show up on the scene, and I think it's kind of interesting how they do. The Doctor seems to have an inkling of suspicion about the place beforehand, and but what I think is really interesting with this episode, like I say, is the character arcs that are going on. The way Rory, very mans up, essentially. He basically takes control of certain things in the episode, rather than being the skulky background character or the comedic, just there for the comedic quips and things like that, and to be the worrywart. Because as a fellow YouTuber and friend mentioned in his thoughts on the episode, if we remember from last season, he became an Auton for a little while, like a living plastic. And so in a way he can relate to being you but not being you, which is what these gangers are. But in any case, the Doctor has an idea that there's a solar storm coming and that bad things are going to come from it. And he wants to get everyone out of there. And of course, through the machinations of the gangers and the storm itself, or the precursor to the storm, if you will, they all get stuck there. And one of the character themes that I think is very interesting is the like female worker Jennifer or something, is very timid in her just straight human form, easily scared, it seems like, and she takes off running a couple of times. But then, and we also see this with her ganger, but at some point there's a change, there's a shift in tone, when the head woman in the human side, so to speak, she kills one of the gangers, and then the gangers go running off, and there's this whole idea of, us versus them on both sides. But I think it's very interesting how the woman who takes control on the ganger side is the human who's the most timid, the Jennifer ganger. And I think that's very interesting. And of course, it leads up to the cliffhanger where the TARDIS has sunken in the ground thanks to the acid, and Rory's gone off to help the Jennifer ganger, and he seems to, be taking it upon himself, coming from a similar place that the Doctor's coming from. The Doctor wants to help these gangers to be able to live. He doesn't want to see needless death, even though the human characters are very taken aback by it. I think, again, that's another very interesting theme as well. The idea of, what makes a person unique, what, their memories, their soul. And here, suddenly, humans are, they're made to face these copies of themselves, down to the every last experience in life. And all of a sudden that becomes a threat on a very primal level. I'm me, you're not me, But it was, for me, it was a deep, thoughtful episode. And I can see, again, like a friend on YouTube said in his video thoughts on it, how some of the younger crowd might not have gotten that into it, because it did take a little while to get going. It was a little long-winded in certain areas, and I would call into question if this really needed to be a two-parter. Maybe the second part would be more bang for the buck, so to speak, for all ages of viewers, but I did very much enjoy it in the looking at the mentalities of characters and looking at the ethics, and again the cliffhanger with the clone or copy of the Doctor. And keep in mind, he had very limited access with the flesh liquid, so just how much of a copy is this? If the trailer for the next episode, The Almost People, is any indication, it does not seem like the ganger of the Doctor is necessarily all there, so to speak. So maybe, and that's an interesting footnote, going back along my ideas of there being more than one Doctor, leading to the death of the Doctor we see all the way back in the first episode of the series. So, but, overall I give it a thumbs up. I enjoyed the episode, and I'm, eagerly anticipating to see where it goes from there in the next episode, The Almost People. I can understand why some people would be a little let down by it, but for me, I think it was pretty good, and I think it'll just raise expectations again for the next episode. So, that's my thoughts on it, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll keep doing stuff and videos and whatever while I can, and then if I do get cut off, hopefully I'll be back at some point. So stay tuned, and for now, this is SXE Blues signing off.